Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my dialysis day morning routine. I do home dialysis, hemo, so I have to get up at 6:20 a.m. thereabouts and start getting ready for my day because we need to get started with dialysis by around 9 o'clock to make the rest of our schedule work. So the first thing I do in the morning is I brush my teeth and I spritz my face with a little water because trying to rinse my face off with water means I splash water everywhere and I fucking hate that. I'm also going to wash my face and everything else later in the morning. At this point in the morning, Jess and Layla are still asleep. The kids are still asleep. The cats probably are awake, but it depends on if I find them or not. I need caffeine first thing in the morning. I desperately need caffeine first thing in the morning. It just depends on whether or not I'm gonna make a matcha or a tea or a coffee. It just depends on my mood. Lately, I have been making matchas using oat milk, my little frother, and this barista blend that I got off of Amazon, which is very lightly sweetened. If you've had the Starbucks matchas, it tastes like that, but a little bit better. Once I have caffeine in hand and I'm feeling like the world is not going to collapse in on me, I head back upstairs because it is time to start getting ready to get into the shower. Now, I will add that while I'm on hemodialysis, I do not have any fluid restrictions yet. I don't know what's going to happen with my caffeine habit once I get put into fluid restriction land, but right now, if I don't have some caffeine in the morning, I'm going to murder somebody, and even though they're all asleep, I'll figure it out. I will find a way. At this point, it's usually about 7 a.m. when I'm out of the shower. I will put on some of my deodorant, some of my perfume, some of my facial spray, all the things that you do when you're like doing your morning stuff. A lot of those I do before I put clothes on, but I wasn't going to show you my boobs in this video. I didn't want to get demonetized. Now, some mornings I have to do something with my hair because it's a hot mess, but this morning it was already straightened from the day before, so I knew I was going to just give it a brush and then hit it with the flat iron a little bit later if need be. But I don't do very complicated makeup on days that I'm not doing like a front-facing video. So I'll put on my sunscreen, I'll put on some basic makeup, maybe a little bit of skin tint, maybe a little bit of cream blush. Not too much, just enough to make me not look like I'm in kidney failure, which can be hard because I am in kidney failure. One thing that I find extremely crucial to doing my makeup on any given day, but especially on days where I'm like trying to do dialysis and I'm not trying to get super fancy, is to do as much of it with my fingers as possible. I just find it goes faster and everything kind of blends together better. I do sometimes use a brush on my eyes like I'm doing here if I don't want to get glitter everywhere, but like honestly, being able to just sort of pat things into my face makes things go so much faster. And I'm fucking 43 years old and I'm on dialysis. I don't have time to pretend to be a beauty guru, which I guess I'm doing here. What I really want to do is just get myself ready with as little effort and as much like bang for my buck as possible. And when you're blind as fuck, you stick your face right up against the glass to put your mascara on so you don't blind yourself. This was the moment where I realized I got skin tint on my shirt. And I'm going to tell you right now, that shirt did not survive. I wound up having to throw it away. No matter how much I shouted it out, no matter how much I Tide penned it, didn't fucking work. And I love that shirt, so I'm kind of bent. Once I get my hair done and my meds in, I finish getting myself dressed. Now, I need to wear a t-shirt on dialysis days because my arm needs to be exposed, but I need a sleeve so we can clip the lines to it. I'm not sure how it's going to work when it's tank top season. I usually throw a cardigan or a sweater over the top because when I'm not on dialysis, I'm cold, but I can't wear sleeves when I'm on dialysis, which is kind of a bummer because it does get pretty shivery. If all goes well, about this time, 7:20, 7:30, I am able to move on to pretty much the most hectic part of my morning routine. Now, if I was a fancy, quote unquote, that girl, I would probably at this point be doing some fucking journaling or some yoga or some fucking, I don't know, affirmations or some bullshit. But I'm not. I got shit to do. Usually in the morning, I unload the dishwasher and then reload it with whatever dishes happen to be still sitting around. Last night, the dinner dishes didn't get done, which is whatever, shit happens. Sometimes it's laundry, sometimes it's other chores. But what always happens is that on dialysis days, we take Layla to daycare. And so another thing I have to do in the morning is make sure that I get her lunch ready to go. We have these reusable little Tupperware containers that we send in because we didn't want to keep having them throw away some fucking Ziploc bags or whatever. The other thing I do in the morning is I also make a smoothie. I need something in my stomach to get through dialysis without getting utterly hangry, but I still get nauseated in the morning. So doing something like heavy or protein rich is really not going to be something I can tolerate. So instead I've been making these smoothies and it's been going pretty well. At the beginning of the week or whenever I run out, I set up little bags of frozen shit so that it's pretty simple in the mornings. In the Ziploc bags is a handful of spinach, half a cup of mixed berries, half a cup of strawberries, and half of a banana broken in half. So I guess 2/4 of a banana. I dump that in, and then I add in a yogurt. Sometimes I add in a little yogurt smoothie from Trader Joe's. Sometimes I add in one of these wee yogurts. It just depends on what we have. And then I will add in a bunch of orange juice, as well as a little bit of oat milk to kind of cut the acidity. Then I throw it on the blender, put it on the smoothie blend, and then I head off to work on whatever else is on my list for this morning. When it's done, I pour it into these 2 mason jars that have like lids and straws because I've found that half of it actually is perfect for me in the morning, and so Jessie usually drinks the other half. Then usually what I'll do is I'll taste it, and if I feel like it needs a little bit more oat milk or orange juice, I'll add that and stir it in. Now, if it's a plant watering day, I usually take the time to water all of my plants, or the ones at least that need it. In an ideal world, I just do my plant watering in the mornings on plant days, but that doesn't always happen. Sometimes I sleep in, and this is one of the things that gets kind of knocked off of my list because I'm fucking human, man. I will say, though, watering the plants in the morning is probably one of the most peaceful things I could do in the morning. Unless, of course, my teenager is in there clowning on me while I'm trying to film a vlog. If I have a few extra minutes before I leave the house, I will make a coffee or a latte for Jessie and for RJ before I walk out the door. Usually I'll make Sunny a matcha as well. And now probably one of the most crucial steps of my dialysis mornings, I need to put on my EMLA cream, which is a lidocaine numbing cream on my access sites. I need to get that on there at least half an hour before we get started. And to get it to soak in, you need to wrap it in a non-occlusive bandage like saran wrap. Let me tell you, trying to put saran wrap on your own upper arm is the goofiest shit you will ever do. 8 a.m. is our absolute deadline to leave. Sometimes I like to get out a little earlier, but 8 a.m. is the absolute latest. I take RJ to school and Layla to daycare. She's usually not up until about 10 till we leave because she is not a morning dog, but she does get very, very excited to head into daycare, and now she is like tail wagging, everything else, which is exciting. That wasn't the case when we first started taking her. I also bring my smoothie with me on the drive so I can just chug it down before I get home. Usually when I get home, I will make the bed because at the point when I was at home, I just didn't have time. And when I did have time, Jess and Layla were still in the bed. I'll check in with the cats. I'll get my dialysis supplies ready, take my vitals, get my arm washed and ready to go. And then I'll get cannulated and start dialysis with Jessie. Sometimes I check in with my planners while I'm on dialysis. Sometimes I don't. It just depends on my mood. But I am there for about 3.5 hours, 5 days a week. And that's my morning. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below, something going on in your mornings lately. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, my friends. And until next time, peace.